Good afternoon. Welcome to Live Courageous Podcast. My name is Musudeen. Thank you for joining us today. We really have an exciting topic today. We're going to talk about leadership. This conversation explores what it truly means to lead with courage, passion, and authenticity. So, again, we have a guest today. Her name is Alisa J. Henley, Dr. Alisa J. Henley.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So a little bit about Alisa. She is a leadership coach, a speaker, organizational strategist, helping leaders and teams build authentic, high-impact leadership, and that fosters progress and enduring transformation. She has a lot, you guys, so we're going to get some valuable information today. So, again, we just so are excited to learn more about leadership, what we really, it's dear to our hearts, passion. So, we're going to ask her first a question, calling to lead, okay? What first inspired you to step into leadership?
Actually, it started when I was 19 years old and I was in undergrad. I didn't know what I was going to major in. We had a consultant to come in and speak to our class. Not only did she ask us about our career path, but then she also asked us what type of leader do we want to be as we grow up. And that really sparked my interest in leadership. And from that point on, I decided to major in human resources management because she was an HR consultant. And I decided to write every paper on leadership, some aspect of leadership. Wow. In undergrad, I carried that over to graduate school, and I carried that over to when I was working on my PhD. So leadership has always been my thing. And maybe as a kid, I was a natural born leader, but you don't have enough information to really determine that. Wow. But I decided that as I began to work as an organizational consultant and a strategist, that I was going to focus on areas of leadership and strategy planning.
Wow, that is amazing, because that was the next question. Was you a natural born? It sounds like you were already there. You just had to get some skills just to keep going, and you just carried it all out.
I think as you grow, you get science behind what you're naturally created to do.
Yeah.
If you ask one of my sisters, I'm the youngest of 5 girls. If you ask one of my sisters, they may say that I was always a leader. If you ask my cousins, maybe they may say the same thing. But of course, as a child, as a teenager, you really don't know. But even now that I'm the youngest of 5 girls and my mother passed last year, I'm now like leading our family. Wow. So every decision that needs to be made, I'm making the decision, or I'm helping them make the decision. And even though I'm the youngest, even when my sisters make decisions about their personal lives, they run it by me.
That's a little pressure there sometimes. I would think, you like, who do I run to, right?
Right.
That's pretty cool, though. It's really interesting. So what are some of your biggest early challenges that shaped your leadership? You already kind of talked about developing as you went on from college, from high school to college and all of that. Were there any challenges during that
Absolutely time? There were. When I graduated undergrad and got my first job, I was a professional. However, I didn't have all the experience behind me. So I made some decisions as a leader that in my very first job got me cursed out. I mean, like bad words.
Wow.
I had to roll out a new handbook. And all I knew is I needed to roll out this handbook. I was working in a manufacturing plant, and I shut the assembly line down and told all the people to come, and I didn't to sign their acknowledgement, but I didn't run it by the department director. And in manufacturing, everything is based on production. I stopped the production. Because I was only thinking about my part. So I learned from that, always leave enough room in the door or crack in the door for somebody to gracefully bow out. And don't make decisions about somebody else's department or their responsibility without talking to them first. So yeah, I had some challenges.
Oh my goodness, that's a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah, my feelings was hurt. And
bet.
he came back and apologized.
Okay.
You know, and he was much older than me, so he should have known better than to handle it that way.
For
But I
sure.
mean, I really got you know, talked to really bad.
Yeah. Some people just take that just overboard. You know,
Yeah.
he probably thought he was a leader. What are you doing?
Well,
over there?
I don't know what type of pressure he was under regarding his production. See, I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, so it could have been that he was behind production, and here you come, you're shutting down the line, you're pulling everybody off, and now I'm even further behind. And maybe somebody at the top was telling him, hey, you need to get this done. See, you never really know what's going on behind the scenes concerning somebody else. And a good leader will try to find out that information before they make a decision. But of course, I was 20-something years old,
There
right?
you go. It's a learning curve, right?
I didn't
You had
know.
to learn it. You wouldn't do that mistake again.
No, I never have. No.
Maybe other mistakes, but not that one.
Absolutely.
So it kind of leads into this next one. So we're going to lead through adversities, which you had one, but courage when the pressure is high. So we usually have, you know, pressure as leaders. So we usually have to navigate through those things. So how can you tell me a time when leadership requires you to make tough or unpopular decisions?
Absolutely. So not so much now at this phase in my career because I'm self-employed, but when I was employed, I worked for a company where we had to eliminate some positions. Yeah, that's really hard. And so I was one of the key people that was doing the assessment, trying to help determine which positions we should eliminate. And that's pressure.
That's pressure.
Because that's dealing with people's livelihood, their ability to provide for their families, to continue their career, whatever the case may be. So yeah, that was pressure, and I had to navigate through that. Now the interesting thing about it is, after we went through that, we drew up the plan, delivered all of the contracts, you know, all of that. Then they knocked on my door.
Oh, okay.
Then my position was
gone.
eliminated.
Oh my goodness. Ah.
So,
Oh my goodness.
but you know, but you know, it was critical for me. But you know, at the time I was unencumbered. All of these other people, they had husbands,
Families.
wives, children. You know, so it was you know, I just went out and found me another job.
There you go.
But yeah, so no, you have to just navigate through them. You have to be mature enough to navigate through them, and that's one of the reasons why I like authentic leadership, which is the newest leadership theory. And authentic leadership is the only leadership theory that requires you to reflect, is introspective versus looking at what's going on the outside. And so there are 4 subsets to that. Now I learned that through graduate school.
Yeah.
But had I known about authentic leadership back then, I would have conducted myself differently. But it hadn't. It wasn't in existence then.
Exactly.
Well, it was because it came out in '85.
Okay.
But they weren't really talking about it. But there are 4 subsets to authentic leadership: self-awareness, balanced processing, relational transparency, and internalized moral perspective. All of them have to do with you as a leader, and not like situational leadership where it's about what's going on around you. All of these things have to do with you as a leader.
That's good stuff, because you can't lead other people until you can lead yourself. Those
Absolutely.
are good stuff. Yeah.
Well, some people think they can.
I know, but then they're totally wrong, and then they make all these mistakes because they're not even leading themselves correctly.
Right.
You leading other people to the ditch too.
Well, you know why they do that? It's because most leaders, I'll say a good number of leaders, they lead from their positional power and not their personal power.
It's sure.
Yeah, so there is a difference. When you lead from your positional power, then you're expecting people to do what you want them to do just because of the position that you hold. But what if your character was such that you were leading from your personal power and people wanted to follow you just because of who you are, not the position that you hold?
That's what we need to strive for.
Yeah, that's the turning point when it comes to leadership.
Yeah. And that's where the authenticity comes in too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that point. We're going to challenge leaders to try to shift. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, okay.
That's why
Shift.
you do what you do, right?
Shift,
Yeah, they need to shift. So here's another question. How do you stay calm and grounded when people look to you during uncertainty and crisis?
How do I stay calm and grounded? Well, I will admit, and every leader, if they are telling the truth, I often say I'm just going to tell the truth and stay in the church, right?
Yeah.
So if every leader is telling the truth, sometimes we all get out of pocket emotionally, right?
Sure.
But a good leader will understand that they are not only responsible for regulating their emotions, but they are responsible for helping the people around them regulate their emotions. So what I personally do is I just practice mindfulness, and I talk about it in 7 Wins, in my book, 7 Wins for the Authentic Leader. I talk about practicing the pause.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so
that's good.
you have to condition yourself to be proactive and not always reactive. Because even though I am a leader in the community, I'm a leader in my church, I'm a leader in business, I'm still Alisa.
Yeah.
I'm still just a woman, right? I have all the same emotions and feelings that other people have.
Right.
But the difference is, how do you manage it? So you have to learn how to manage yourself as a leader. Because when everybody else is behaving out of control, you don't have the right to do that, right?
No.
Because you are responsible for bringing regulation to that situation, whatever type of regulation is needed. So 2 things I do: I always practice mindfulness, and a lot of times I take a deep breath. Because sometimes when you take that deep breath, things come out different than they would if you didn't. And sometimes when you take that pause, you don't have to take a long pause, just a couple of seconds. Take that pause, whether you're thinking about anything in that pause or not. Just take that pause, because when you take that pause, it makes everything come back into alignment, and then you can respond. And sometimes you just don't respond in the moment. Sometimes you simply say, you know what, I need about 5 minutes, or can you give me 10 minutes? Do you need a response right now? Do you need a plan right now? I really need to think about that. So I think as a leader, as you grow as a leader, you just learn these things. You learn what works for you, and you learn what works for other people, if it's a group or a person that you've been leading for a while. But it takes time. No leader comes into a situation knowing all of the answers and knowing everything to do. That's why you have balanced processing, where you go out and you seek information from other people. That's why you have, self-awareness. You know when your blood pressure is about to rise because of something, and then you can head that off. That's why you have internalized moral perspective. That's why you just practice being an ethical person. Just practice doing the right thing, right? On purpose. And so, because no leader have all the answers. And the unfortunate thing is, when you hold certain positions or you're in certain situations, people expect you to have all of the answers.
That's true.
And as a leader, you can say, I don't know. I don't have the answer, but let's try to figure it out.
Yeah, I like that. That's good stuff. Because I felt like that today. I'm like, oh, okay, get me grounded, Lord. I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Leadership is, and that's why people, you cannot really define leadership.
No.
People, there are trillions, I don't know if trillions, but there are a lot of definitions out there for leadership.
Yeah.
But you can't really define it, because it's different for every person, it's different for every situation. You lead differently in different situations. So you can't really put just a blanket definition, although many have tried. I've tried as well. But you cannot put a blanket definition on leadership. You just can't.
That's so true. Can't put it in the box.
No, you can't. You can't.
No, you got to think outside the box. And leaders have to think outside the box.
Absolutely.
What if this situation happens to look like this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You have to do that self-talk.
Yeah, self-talk.
Yeah.
So we can't get down on ourselves, huh?
No. And you have to, and you won't be able to think through all the scenarios, but you have to at least go through some of the what ifs. Well, what if this happened? What would my response be? Well, what if this? And I find myself, as I mature I've been in business full time since 2004. But as I mature, because I'm still maturing in business,
right.
And as I mature in leadership, because you never stop learning, as I mature in leadership, I'm learning more and more about me and my self-awareness, and that's the big thing.
Yeah.
That is pivotal. That helps you to pivot when you need to pivot. So if you can't pivot as a leader, every leader should know how to pivot.
That's right.
But some of it takes training.
I was just going to say
Yeah,
that,
some of it
because it's
takes
not
training.
just I know this, but it takes from learning from other people and want to be intentional.
Yeah, intentionality.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's tough, That is really
Because as
tough.
leaders, we vacillate back and forth on things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We sit in our offices or at our desk or whatever environment we're in, and we vacillate over the things that we need to do. Why? Because sometimes leaders feel like the weight of a decision is on their shoulders.
You're speaking to me right about now.
So yeah,
Wow.
And it's your perspective, and so. And sometimes you feel like if I don't do it, it won't get done.
Yeah.
I guarantee you it'll get done.
For sure.
But sometimes as a leader, as we go up, we forget to bring somebody along with us.
And that's important.
And so you have to bring somebody along with you. And so I'm always mentoring somebody. I always have 2 or 3 people that I'm mentoring. Not that I'm mentoring them to take my place, but if I ever need somebody to step into a leadership role, I know that I can reach back and I can grab those individuals. Or if I ever need someone that I need help in processing with, I can always call upon these people and process through. And leaders sometimes feel like they have nobody to process with.
Oh, that's deep.
But you have to be intentional about building those relationships, those, being relationally transparent so that you can have somebody that you can process with and you can just tell them the truth.
Yes.
This is how I'm feeling. I feel like I want to choke somebody or whatever the case may be.
For sure.
And so you have to have somebody that you can tell the truth to.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are a lot of leaders, especially in the faith-based arena, there are a lot of leaders that feel like they just have no one that they can be totally honest with and transparent with and just tell them the truth and walk away not feeling judged. Every leader needs that person in their life.
That's good stuff. And then you want to be authentic. That's that word again, to be authentic and not hypocritical.
Yeah, you can't, as a leader, you can't say one thing and do another.
Something else, no.
People do it,
Yeah.
but that's not effective.
No. And then they look at you like, well, I thought you said this. And then they won't want to follow you.
Yeah.
That's
Because now you're a false flag of a leader.
Yeah.
That's what you are. And so you have to be really careful in your leadership role, whatever that is, or as an aspiring leader. You have to make sure that you say what you mean, and you mean what you say, and you do that.
Yes.
Because you lose credibility and you lose trust. And once a leader loses trust, that's hard to gain back.
Yeah.
It's hard to gain back. Because unfortunately, nobody wants to extend you grace. Nobody wants to extend you grace. They should, but they don't.
That's human nature.
Yeah, wants to extend you grace, and you get no second chances to mishandle me.
No.
It's how people think.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Because they trust you. Pretty much you are there in your palm of your hand. So if you mess up, you just gotta let them go.
Yeah. But leaders are human.
Yeah, we are human.
And they make bad decisions.
That's right.
And they mess up.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to extend some type of grace.
That's so
Because
true.
one day you're going to want some grace.
Yes. I agree.
And I just believe every seed reproduce after its own kind. So if you extend grace, somebody will extend grace to you. If you don't extend grace, somebody won't extend grace to you.
Exactly. That's where that reap what you sow going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
there you go.
Absolutely.
That's pretty good. So I like when you're talking about having the mentors to, somebody you mentor. So that's where the servant leadership comes in. So that's kind of our next phase. That's pretty good. So your servant leadership and the community. So you bring other people up with you from the community so you can count on those people. So how do you define the servant leadership? I know you kind of explained a little bit in your work.
Okay, so servant leadership in my work is, Alisa, and I often say this, I'm going to Alisa-nize it, right?
Okay.
So Alisa, is good at X, Y, and Z, right? So then I identify somebody who lacks in those areas, and then what I strive to pour it into them so that they can come up in those areas. Then I encourage them. Now you find somebody that you can pour into so they can come up in those areas. Because servant leadership is about serving. So even though I have all of these degrees and I have this business and I have my coaching and I have my books and I do training and I travel all around the world, talking to people about igniting their vision. I got my trademark. Okay, who am I serving in that, right? How am I providing something to somebody without them buying a book, without them paying me for a speaking engagement? Who am I willing to pour into so that their life can transcend, so that they can come up? That's servant leadership. I don't keep all of my skills, all of my talents, and all of my abilities to myself. I share them, even when I'm not getting anything in return. Tangible. I'm getting something in return because I'm seeing that person come up and I'm seeing them flourish. But that's that's the best description of servant leadership that I can give. Whatever abilities I've been blessed with, how do I share those so that somebody else can reap the same blessing or a similar blessing, and you can make it perpetual? It just continues to go and go and go and go. I don't hoard anything. I don't hoard my money. I don't hoard my business. I don't hoard my skill set. I don't hoard my material things. I've been carrying a handbag and somebody said, "Oh, I like that handbag." I've taken my stuff out the handbag and gave it to them. Right? I mean, so
that's good. You're not attached to anything.
No, I'm not attached to anything.
Yours anyway.
But also, you have to use wisdom.
Okay, yeah.
Because people will ask you for things just because they know you'll give it to them, right?
Oh,
so you have to use wisdom as well in leadership. You have to do that because unfortunately, not everybody is well-meaning toward you.
Sure.
They
want to see how much they can take.
They want to see how much they can take. And this is what I tell people. There are no limits. If you got a taker, there's no limits to what a person will take. And if you are a giver, there's no limits to which you will give.
That's right.
So if a taker, if a giver hooks up with a taker, it's just going to be a bad situation.
A disaster.
Because that giver is going to keep giving, and that taker is going to keep taking. Wow. So as a leader, you have to have some balance as well.
That's powerful.
Yeah, you have to use wisdom.
So that's what this next question is talking about. You already kind of addressed it. How do you balance giving others with maintaining your own boundaries and peace?
Right. So if I'm giving to the point where I'm complaining about it or it's disturbing my peace, then it's time to cut the ties here. Yeah. So when somebody is infringing upon my safe space, then and I'm good at setting boundaries. So for example, I don't like if I'm coaching someone or helping somebody through a situation. Say we have an hour together. You're not going to spend the entire hour complaining to me. That's not going to happen.
That's not going to work.
I tell people up front, you got about 10, maybe 15 minutes to help me understand what the issue is. I'm going to repeat the issue back to you, and we're going to spend the other 45 to 50 minutes talking about the solution. Okay. I set that boundary up front because I'm not running a gripe session, because when you have a gripe session, that means you're not ready for a solution.
That's right.
You just want to talk.
Yes.
And I don't have time for that.
Right. There's nothing gonna come out of it.
Now, there's nothing gonna come out of it. That's if you're coming to me with an issue. Now, my people in my circle, they may come to me and I'll ask them, are you coming because you just want me to listen to you, or you looking for a solution? Because if they just want me to listen, I'll do that. These are people in my circle. I'll do that, and I won't offer anything. Right. But if you're coming to me for a solution, that's what I deal in. Yeah. I don't deal in problems. I deal in solutions. Yeah. So let's talk about the solution. Now, if I help you come to terms with a solution and you decide not to apply that, that's on you. It doesn't mean it wasn't a good solution. Right. It wasn't good information. You just decided not to use it, and I'm okay with that. But if you decide not to use it, don't bring this issue to me again. Bring a different issue. Bring a different issue. Right. But don't bring this issue, because we've talked about that.
There you go.
So I think that you have to be comfortable just letting people know what it is that you will accept and what you won't accept, and here is the boundary. This is what you. This is how you need to conduct yourself when you're here in my presence. And this is how I'm going to conduct myself in your presence. And this is what it is. And if somebody doesn't do that, I have no problem letting them know I don't think I'm a good fit for you.
Oh, wow.
I
That's
think
good.
I will tell them. I had a retainer client. She signed the retainer agreement, paid her retainer amount and all of that. But we couldn't get that first project off the ground. And I just told her, I said, you know what? I don't think I'm a good consultant for you, because when I entered into this is what I entered in.
Right.
But you want somebody to do your day-to-day HR things, and that's not what I do. And I offered her retainer money back.
There
You
go.
know, and she says, well, no, you can keep it. You can keep it. I said, well, you know, I'll give it back, because this relationship is not going to work.
Yeah.
You know, and so I don't have to do that so much now, because I've learned how to ask enough questions up front.
I was going to say.
So that I don't get myself. See, I was still early in business. I didn't ask enough questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to have courage. That
That's
you know,
right.
you have to have courage to be able to set that boundary and be okay with it, even when the other person is not.
That's good. So leadership does need courage too.
Absolutely,
That's good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be brave.
And you know
You
what?
need courage and bravery.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny, because you just led into the next question. So
Okay.
the future of
You would think
courageous
I read
leadership.
you think
right?
I read your question?
Yeah, you're right there, right?
Okay.
That's pretty good. So how do you see leadership changing in the next decade, especially community-driven leadership?
Oh, wow. You know, I see leadership actually taking a 180, not a 360, because when you do 360, you end right back up at the place where you were at.
True.
That's a complete circle.
True.
So I see it doing a 180.
Okay.
I see community leaders rising up more, not only in the communities, but also partnering with corporate America. I see that because that's where society is going. I think that you're going to have more authentic leaders, people pursuing more authentic leadership, because that leadership theory is gaining ground. And it's pretty much the only leadership theory I talk about when I get invited places to speak. It's pretty much the only leadership theory I talk about is authentic leadership.
Nice.
And help them go through the assessment. So I think that if things continue to evolve the way they are, leadership is never going anywhere.
No.
But leadership is going to look a little different. Leadership looks different now in terms of who leaders are from maybe 20 or 30 years ago.
For sure.
Right now, you could have 5 generations working in one environment. 20 years ago, you probably had 2 generations working in the environment, and everybody that held a leadership role, they kind of looked alike. It was kind of in the same age range.
Right.
They kind of had the same
process.
education, they process. But that's different,
Right.
because now you may have someone that's been in a work environment for 30 years, and their leader may only have 2 years under their belt. So, I mean, so things, the landscape of leadership is constantly evolving. What it'll look like in the next decade, I don't know fully, but I do know that you'll see a changing of the guards. You know, you'll see people assuming leadership roles that would not be able to assume a leadership role before. I mean, just look at the demographics. You have more women CEOs than ever, and I think that is going to continue. Although I still believe there's a glass ceiling.
For
You
sure.
know, I still believe that, but the glass is not as thick as it used to be.
Right. You have a lot of avenues now. And
Yeah,
with
you have-
social media and AI and all of that. Yeah.
And then you have people, more younger people are deciding they don't want to work in corporate America. They're starting their own from the beginning. You know, their own marketing agencies, their own consulting agencies, things that they can do without having a lot of experience.
Yeah.
If you want to start a human resources consulting agency, you need some experience behind you.
You would think so.
But to do marketing and social media and all these other things, you don't need that much experience.
Nope.
You just need to know what the techniques are, right?
That's
to
it.
help people be successful. So I think that you'll have more of that, and I think that corporate America will lose ground, because all of the leaders that would normally be working in corporate America, I think they're out here doing their own thing, or they they're doing freelance work or they're starting their own companies because this is just how our younger generation think, right?
They want to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah, they want. That's it. That's their lane. And many of them are successful at it.
Yeah.
Some of them need to work at it a little bit more because they need to determine how they want to show up for their clients when they get clients.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the landscape of leadership will just look different regarding demographic.
That's interesting. As you was talking, I was thinking about social awareness too. There's so much that goes on with this fakeness. The AI, you have to be a different person, and then you're talking about authenticity. I'm like, okay, what is it going to look like? Everybody want to look like somebody else. It's just going to be interesting to find out what it looks like when it spins. But we'll have to keep our eyes out. Huh?
and it's nothing wrong with that because you don't have to reinvent the wheel on everything. Right. So if I see a leader or meet a leader or engage with a leader that I like something about their style, there's nothing wrong with me adopting that. Yeah. But even as a leader, you still have to make it your own, right? Yes. I won't lead the way you lead. You won't lead the way I lead. One of the skill sets that a friend of mine, and she's an assistant superintendent at a school district here in the metro area, one of the things that she always says to me is that I love the way that you ask a series of questions to help the person arrive at the solution that they need. I learned that from my mother.
Nice.
Yeah, I learned that from my mother. So in my mother's passing, I wanted to do something to honor her. And so I was hoping to release my second leadership book because even though I've written 7 books, I've only written 1 leadership book. I was hoping to release my second leadership book this Friday, which is her birthday, but I just am not done with it. The book is written, but it's still have some work to do on it. But I wanted to write a book about 12 life hacks I learned from my mother. Okay. But when I started writing out these life hacks, I realized they were really leadership lessons. Wow. So then I changed the landscape of the book. And so now the book is called My First CEO, A Mother's Leadership Legacy.
Wow.
And so in that book, I talk about this technique of how you ask a series of questions to help the follower arrive at their own decision. Right. And so and I do that all the time.
That's where coaching comes in too.
Right. Wow. Exactly. Because see, when we talk about leadership through writing this book, I really didn't realize it as much. But when we talk about leadership, you really learn leadership around the kitchen table.
That's right.
That's your first exposure to leadership. Although you didn't know that it was called leadership, and you definitely didn't know what leadership theory was backing it up.
Right.
But when you look at the principles and the things that you learn watching your mother or your father or both parents navigate the household, they really was teaching you leadership. They was teaching you how to make decisions. They was teaching you, if you came from a 2-parent household, they were teaching you how to partner, how to come together. If you are from a single parent household, probably where budgeting was more of a thing, they was teaching you how to budget. They were teaching you how to look at what you have to do and come up with the best solution. My mother had 5 girls that she raised on her own, right?
Yes.
I'm the young, so when she went to cook, everybody wasn't getting their individual things. It was certain things I didn't like. My sisters, she cooked something, she cooked a pot of something because she realized with having to feed 6 people and whoever else comes by, having to, you have to make the best choice. So that's what she did.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So like you said, okay, so learning from our parents, but sometimes we as adults, we don't think about it. So you've done a lot of processing to say, this is what I've learned in the past. To put it back together.
Yeah.
That's where that reflection comes in.
But that processing, I'm 54. That process, it really just came in like the last 10 years.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. It takes you a while to come back to it.
Yeah, it takes you a while. Yeah. And now that I've written this book, it's making me think more.
Wow.
I'm thinking about examples.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about things that she said, and I'm thinking about, where did that come from? Oh, I learned that from my mother.
That's something else. What happened in my childhood that I'm doing now that's impacting really big?
Right. So I recently... And this is interesting because I recently did some leadership development training with the school district. Over 2 days, it probably was about 150 leaders there. Somebody walked up to me on the break and they challenged something that I said.
Oh, wow.
And I was totally good with that, right? So she said that she disagreed with something that I said. Because what I said is that your core values don't change. I mean, if you was raised with good core values, now if you was raised with some bad ones, they need to change.
Yeah.
But for the most part, your core values don't change. And she said, well, my values have changed over the years. So I said, well, okay. So I said, I start working my first job at 19 years old. I worked for the Coast Guard as a part of a college where they were hiring college students. I showed up on time for work. I did what they trained me to do. I was typing purchase orders. I did what they trained me to do. I sought out, when I was finished with my work, I sought out other opportunities to do things. So one would say at 19, I had a good work ethic, right?
Yeah, for sure. I would say
Okay. So now, as I started to work a regular full-time job, I kept those same things. Then I added something to it, and then I may have changed it a little bit. So what I learned in my household about hard work, watching my mother go to work, come home and cook, whatever she had to do, that manifested when I went to work at 19. Then when I actually got a professional job, it manifested, but it might have manifested in a different way. But I can still tie it back to what I learned in my household. Then when I became a business owner, of course, it's still manifesting, but it manifests in a different way. But I can still tie it back to that core value, right?
Yes.
And so I said to her, I said, would you agree with that? She says, well, yeah. I said, so even though it may be manifested in a different way, if you look at the totality of it, you probably can trace it back to something that you learned when you were a kid.
Yep.
And she said, yeah, you're right. I said, so it's not that your core value changed, it just manifests differently. But it is the same core value.
It is.
It's rooted in the same principle from what you were taught when you were a kid.
And that's why it's so important. We need to train our kids the right way for when they get older, they won't depart from that. That's biblical. It just goes back around in circles again. That's good stuff because, again, when we don't process that, we don't know that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So we're going to invite people to go in and do that for themselves.
Yeah.
Process your life history, see what happened, and see, oh, is this happening right now with me?
Right.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I like
so
that.
So my thought process in my nephew, he's 27. He says he's going to help me. I really would love to write a series of kids books teaching them how to be leaders.
Oh, that would be good.
Teaching them early on how to be authentic leaders.
Yes.
Because what happens is I was learning how to be a leader and taught how to be a leader as a kid, but I really didn't understand, right? Yeah. And our parents, bless their hearts, there's no handbook for parenting.
No.
You just I don't have children, but you just doing it, right?
Doing it.
And you figuring it out as you go along with the good Lord's help, right?
Yes.
So, but I really would love an opportunity to impact kids' lives in the area of authentic leadership. I would love that.
Awesome. That would be awesome.
I would love that.
And they would know the reason. It's not we're just doing this.
Right.
This is why.
Right.
This is being done.
Right.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Cause see, I didn't learn that till I was in my 30s.
Yeah, I was gonna say I probably just learned it 2 years ago.
I started learning it in my 30s.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's because you probably went to college and started focusing on
putting
that.
the pieces together.
There you go. Because some of us we just jumped in and tried to figure out leadership, and so that we're just putting these pieces together.
Yeah.
Now. So that was good.
So
point.
but I started learning the science behind it in my 30s.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I started learning the science behind it. So it's interesting.
It's very interesting. I think you should do that book.
Yeah.
We're going to encourage kids to go and get it and do it. Good. So this is a question too. If leadership had one guiding word for you personally, what would that be and why?
Oh my goodness. One word, right? One word. That's a tough question.
I know you already talked about authentic quite a bit. So yeah.
Well, I'm not going to use that because I'm guessing you don't want me to use that.
No, I think that's wonderful because that's one of the things I started saying. I'm an authentic leader, because again, your true self it just comes out.
Yeah.
It comes out in whatever you do, and people don't see it as you're fake.
Yeah.
You know.
I would
like
say
that.
I would say love.
Love. Okay.
Yeah. I would say love. And the reason why I would say love is because, in my opinion, true love never gives up on what a person can become. So a leader's ability in their actions and their foresight, it have to be rooted in love. And you have to love people, right? You have to love yourself first, and you have to love people. Some leaders don't even like people. I love and I like people, and I tell people, if I say I like you, that's saying, oh, I love you, right?
Yes.
Because some people love and they don't like.
They
so
don't
you know,
like.
I would say love. I would say love would be that word for me, because I'm always looking for the best in every person, even when they don't always show me the best. I believe somewhere deep down there is a best in them. And my goal is to, if they are followers of mine, then my goal is to try to love them enough and in a way where that best will begin to show up.
Man, that's powerful.
So love would be my word.
I think I like that, because sometimes we as leaders don't think of love, even though we say we really like what we do, and we don't say that word because I guess it's attached. It's pretty touchy. You know, I had that conversation on my way here with my manager. I know my friend, I was trying to talk to multiple people, but I said the same thing. I said, I have a passion for this, so we have to fix this, you know, so it is love, you know. I have a passion to try to get this house, like sometime today, you know. So it is love when you think about it, but it's not the word I expressed out of my mouth. It was just more.
Well, the thing about it is, you said that you have a passion for this. One thing as leaders, what we have to accept is everybody's not going to have a passion for what we have a passion for.
For sure.
And so I always say, I run with those who run with me.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, so even though that's your passion, the people that are following you, that may not be their passion. They may just be doing.
Just doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think as leaders, we have to be okay with that. That everybody's not going to jump in the boat that we're in because we're excited about it.
Yeah.
And you have to respect if they don't, you know, and find out what role do they play in this vision, and just let them play their part. Just let them play their part.
That's good advice. Because sometimes we want people to be like us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I've done that multiple times.
But they are not.
They're not.
They're not.
No, they don't see what you see. And they're looking at.
They are not.
Yeah. That's good information. That's really good information. I think we've gotten a lot from you, Alisa, today. Okay. I mean, it's been a blessing, and I hope the listeners will gain from this. And even if they don't even see themselves as leaders, but everybody's a leader.
Oh, absolutely. In some way or another. In one way or another, everybody is born into this leadership game.
Yes. And so we just have to take ownership.
Yeah. And you have to understand your place as a leader. Because not every leader lead people. Not every leader is a CEO or department director or community leader. Not every leader is that. Not every leader have a group of followers. If you don't have anybody following, you're still a leader. Guess what? Because you are leading yourself.
That's right. That's good information.
You're leading yourself, so you are still a leader.
Yes. So we need to take advice and do that. You know, just lead ourselves first, and then you can lead others. Because you never know what God's going to lead you to, whatever that path is. So we really, really, really thank you today. This has been amazing, you guys. So again, take notes. Do something about being a leader today. Just start a little at a time, a little bit at a time.
Absolutely.
And so we, again, are so appreciative that you watched today Live Courageous podcast. And we have more to come on other weeks. And so, again, it's a blessing that we've been poured into today. And thank you for watching.